Welcome to That's the Word, wholesome tales for the whole family. I'm Father James Yamauchi. Today's story, The Steward's Party. Larry surveyed the gathering. Everywhere he looked, he saw elites, politicians, leaders of men. The city's finest had turned out to come to the party, a party in his honor. Nearby stood the judge, who had arranged this big party for him. Larry and the judge had only met recently, but their first two interactions cemented their relationship. A few days before, Larry's boss gave him charge of the organization's assets. This hasty change in management happened because the judge sentenced Larry's boss to death after a sting operation caught him red-handed. However, the judge kept Larry away from the prosecution. Once Larry's late boss had been executed, the judge pulled Larry aside. "Listen, Larry, I know your boss left you in charge of the organization's assets. You and the organization are still in hot water, what with everything you've been doing. I've kept the prosecution at bay, but I cannot hold them back forever. It would go a long way if you handed over the really valuable assets." Larry considered the offer for a moment, then nodded. "Sure, Judge, I can do that for you. It will take some time, though." "Of course, Larry," the judge replied. "Take a few days to get everything together." It took Larry several days to do the job, but he was true to his word. As promised, he brought all the organization's assets and presented them to the judge. The judge was flabbergasted, stunned at the scale and scope of the wealth presented to him. At first, he can only ask, "What is all this?" "Why, these are our organization's assets," Larry replied. Once he recovered his tongue and came to terms with the great treasure presented to him, the judge immediately ordered the great party. The judge was not satisfied with any normal party. This one would be a blowout. He even commissioned special grills to be made to grill the choicest meats. Larry hovered by these grills, smelling the cooking steaks, feeling the heat of the flames, and micromanaging the chefs. The cooks and judge alike were surprised that Larry took such an interest in the cooking. Though why should they be surprised? After all, shouldn't Larry take interest in his own cooking? And by his own cooking, I mean when it is Larry himself who is being cooked. When the judge asked Larry to bring him the organization's assets, he expected to see loads of cash and valuables. Instead, he was greeted by a horde of cripples and beggars. "Behold, in these poor persons, the treasures which I promised to show you," Larry had declared. Now, the organization did once have treasures of gold and silver, but when Pope Sixtus II entrusted the treasures of the Church of Rome to Larry, Larry had distributed them to the needy rather than let them fall into the judge's hands. Nevertheless, the judge was less than thrilled, and he ordered Larry's death. So it was that the faithful steward of the Church of Rome was killed by being slowly grilled alive at a public execution attended by senators and the elites of Rome. a man with enough humor to quip as he was roasted, "I'm well done on this side. Turn me over." A deacon and martyr named St. Lawrence. And for this week, that's the word. St. Lawrence has a great sense of humor, and it reminds me of the quote from Archbishop Fulton Sheen, "Humor is the ability to see through things." And one thing that I wonder when telling this story, do you think St. Lawrence is going to mind that we call him Larry? Some people like nicknames and some people aren't fond of nicknames.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll go on the fact that he has a sense of humor, so we won't mind the nickname Larry.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so, I mean, I have known this story for so long, and it's amazing how many Catholics don't know this rich story of not just the fact that he has a sense of humor, but of him. And the humor is not just when he is dying as a martyr, but he has a sense of humor even being able to bring the truth of the fact that the treasures of the church are the least among us.
It's a sense of humor, as what you were talking about with Fulton Sheen's quote said, is because it's ability to see through things. It's not just a funny thing.
It's not just wit or one-line remark.
But when you have that ability of the wit, you are able to see through things, and you're able to see, in some cases, great realities. Mm-hmm. In some cases, silly realities, and in some cases, great realities, like that the true treasures are the poor.
Yeah, and that's why I always think, Jesus Christ has the greatest sense of humor. God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit has the greatest sense of humor because they can see things with the greatest perspective because he's God. And, I always like to try to bring the humor of the saints into reality. So when I was a pastor at St. Martin of Tours, we transformed the trunk or treat for All Hallows Eve to be really focused on All Saints the last couple of years I was there. And we would always serve some hot dogs, I think, or at least one year we served hot dogs. And I just came up with the idea that we should call this the St. Lawrence Grill. And those who knew the story would get it and have a laugh. And those who don't know the story, it'd be a great moment for evangelization. And I actually took a picture of our sign. It was a really nice sign. And it's actually on my Facebook page, my Father James Yamauchi public Facebook page.
So not a dig to go like Father James's Facebook page or anything. He doesn't need the extra affirmation. But if you do hunt it down, leave a comment for us, letting us know that you found the picture.
It is there. And if you don't know the full story of St. Lawrence, it's definitely worthwhile to go online and just research what the lives of the saints say about this great early saint in our church's history. Larry hovered by these grills, smelling the cooking steaks. Feeling the heat of the flames and micromanaging the chef. Shouldn't Larry take interest in his own cooking? And by his own cooking, I mean when it is Larry himself who is being cooked. The judge was not satisfied. I can't look at you. Leave the room.
If you enjoy That's the Word, please share the word. Our website is sonsofthunderrock.com. That's where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. And of course, you can find our Facebook page and probably eventually get to Father James's Facebook page through that.
That may be true. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday for another wholesome tale for the whole family. Hope you're having a great Easter season.
Christos Anesti.
Alethos Anesti, which means
Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen.